Hi, this is Sam's Situation with your host, Sam Rosen. I am here broadcasting from Sunnyside, Laguna Niguel, California. Today's topic is a very broad but important topic. We're talking college football. Uh, like I said, we're talking college football today and more specifically upsets. Well, the Arkansas game against Louisiana Monroe was a huge upset. This was a team that should have really just destroyed a team like Louisiana Monroe. They got a great quarterback, great offense, plus a great defense, the number 8 team in the country, and an upstart Louisiana Monroe team really beat them. But I'm going to touch on 3 other upsets that really haven't been given full due. I'll tell you about these in a second. Let's start us off here. Let's look at the proud Colorado football team just fell to the mighty Sacramento State Hornets. That is very big sarcasm right there, as the Sacramento State Hornets have only been to 2 bowl games in their history. Yes, you heard right, folks. Sacramento State, the D2 football team. Even though this isn't the Hornets' first go-around with crushing the hopes and dreams of Pac-12 opponents, they did beat Oregon State 29-28 in overtime on the back of QB Jeff Fleming's overtime 2-point conversion last season. Another just huge upset from a Sacramento State team. Like I said, they've won 2 bowl games in their history. They are a D2 team. That's a huge accomplishment for them to win 2 consecutive years against FBS teams. The Hornets must have grown used to the taste of FBS meat because last night, like I said, they did it again against the Buffaloes. Let's quickly compare these 2 programs here. Colorado has been to 27 bowl games. This is a very proud program. And then Sacramento State, you look at them, they've been to 2 bowl games. And in those bowl games, they lost to the fearsome Grambling State team and a Montana State team that isn't even in FBS anymore. Neither is Grambling State. Colorado has won a championship and a Heisman Trophy. That 1990 championship, they split it. That was before the BCS. That team was just remarkable. They had the whole Cordell Stewart thing, which was one of the greatest plays in college football history in the 90s. Actually voted by the ESPYs as the best play of the 90s. And then they had a Heisman Trophy winner also in the 90s. And then right now it's impossible for Sacramento State to win a national championship or Heisman. And Colorado has 65 All-Americans to Sacramento State's 1. So who do you think would win this matchup? Well, going in, I never even gave Sacramento State a chance. I don't pay much attention to Colorado football. It's not really my forte in sports. I'm a big Wisconsin and UCLA football fan. But this was just a scoreline that absolutely shocked me. So now, let's take a look at the records. Colorado, 0-1. Sacramento State, 1-0 in their all-time matchups in recent years. Colorado, how bad was this loss for them, really? Sacramento State only won by 2 points. It's not much until you remember, this is Sacramento State we're talking about here. It's not like, oh, I don't know, BYU won by 2 points. They're not a BCS school, but they still make bowl games regularly. Or even, oh, New Mexico won. They go 2-10 most years. But they're an FBS team, so they're still better than Sacramento State. Sacramento State, like I said, 2 bowl games. Okay, then let's go over the numbers. Sacramento State's QB, Garrett Saffron, threw for 312 yards and 2 touchdowns. That looks like what Colorado's team really should have put up against Sacramento State. But then look at Colorado's quarterback. He puts up 160 yards on 12 of 24 passing with 1 touchdown. Colorado is really failing here. CSCU had 466 total yards to Colorado's 341. Once again, just a total beatdown by the numbers. In the end of the game, Sacramento State was able to score as time expired. And just based on all of this, I think it's time Colorado takes a hard look at its program. They have not had a winning record since 2005. Count it, 2005. This was a team in the 90s, and earlier than that, they struggled a little in the 80s, that were one of the best teams really in the Big 12. They have a very proud program, countless NFL players. Like I said, a Heisman Trophy winner. Not many schools can say that. Then they have not made a bowl game since 2007. That year they went 6-7. I mean, we're going to look at UCLA later. It's kind of a parallel situation, except for the fact UCLA has never actually lost to a FCS team. Okay, how the mighty have fallen, right? Its Pac-12 mate, UCLA, like I said, has been bad in recent years. However, the Bruins look poised for a comeback after their upset of the 16th-ranked Cornhuskers. Here's a rundown of who I think are the impact players on this UCLA offense. Let's start with the quarterback, Brett Hundley. This guy really reminds me of a young Terrell Pryor. He takes care of the ball. He has strong arm. He's fast and he's big. I watched him. He looks a little raw, little shaky at times, but yesterday, he went 21 of 33 passing for 305 yards and 4 touchdowns. Those are really, really solid numbers, plus the 66 rushing yards. Like I said, he's a lot like Terrell Pryor, very fast. He runs a little strange in my opinion. He runs very upright. It could lead to some injury. He almost got hurt on a just bizarre-looking slide early in that football game. He looks like the best UCLA quarterback in many years. I mean, the last couple of years, we've had Kevin Prince, who, in the first 4 games of his first season as the UCLA starting quarterback, he really looked like he'd at least be decent enough to carry the UCLA team for the next few years to some decent records. He gets hurt. Then they bring in Richard Brehu, who's just been putridly bad, to say the least. 1 of 5 passing last night. He's never really lived up to the expectations. He's got a big arm, but he doesn't do much with it. Prince comes back. He isn't great. Turns the ball over a lot. Doesn't have a strong arm. Really nothing you'd want in a quarterback. I mean, Brett Hundley just looking like a truly special player. I'm going to go on a bold prediction here. Go on a limb, I'll say. Brett Hundley will be a Heisman candidate in his junior year. I think you give him this year to develop, next year to really take over this UCLA team and become its boss and leader, and then his junior year, look for him as a sleeper to really kind of manipulate this. They always like running quarterbacks. You look at the last 2 Heisman winners, Cam Newton and Robert Griffin III. It's usually there's always a very good chance for running quarterbacks. They can always pad their stats, and I think Hundley throws the ball pretty well as well for a redshirt freshman who's never played in a college football game up until these last 2 games. Okay, now let's go over to Jonathan Franklin. Last night, 217 yards rushing, a huge game with a touchdown rushing, and then he had 3 catches for 59 yards and a touchdown. The most memorable of those catches being in crunch time when Brett Hundley threw him the wheel route and he just took it down the field for around 40 yards and just a beautiful reception. Okay, let's talk here about Jonathan Franklin now. He's about to be looked at in a national perspective, and what I mean by that is he is putting up numbers that a lot of running backs really aren't even matching. This is a guy, he fumbles the ball a lot. It's really his one flaw right now, but I know it's too early to say this, but his numbers speak Heisman. I don't think he'll win it, but he definitely put himself in a better spot than he's ever been in with that last game. Right now, he's the 7th all-time UCLA rusher. UCLA has a proud tradition of running backs. Jonathan Franklin looks to have a chance to take over and really get to the number 1 spot, which is just a remarkable thing considering he was not exactly thought of as a great back early in his UCLA career. But just a special player, special talent. I really look forward to seeing how he does as the season goes along. If he stays healthy and he takes care of the football, this UCLA team could be really scary. Now let's take a look at who I think is their best receiver, their tight end, Joseph Fourier. 4 catches, 42 yards, and 2 touchdowns last night. This is a 6'8" player with speed. You look at a guy like this, you think NFL. I don't know how great he is. I haven't seen him play a whole lot. I didn't watch a lot of games, or as many as I usually would last year. But from what I've seen this season, he looks like one of the best red zone players in the country. I don't know what his NFL stock will be like, but he does have that sort of basketball player-like body that's made Jimmy Graham so special. He's nothing like Jimmy Graham. He's not that good. But he really could be a decent starting NFL tight end. Well, not really starting. He could be an NFL tight end. Let me rephrase that. But I don't think you would have considered this even before a year or two ago. So that's a big surprise. If he can continue to make important catches in the red zone, once again, this could really propel the UCLA football team. Okay, and then a guy, it's not a position anyone really thinks of, but Jeff Locke, the punter. 7 kicks with an average of 64 yards per kick. For a college football kicker, that is astounding. He should have himself an NFL spot come really next year, and he's a very, very solid punter with a huge leg. Okay, now let's go over some defensive points for the UCLA side. First off, let's talk about defensive ends. Dayton Jones and Cassius Marsh, they're really great at bringing pressure as well as stopping the run. As you saw, if you watched last night, Dayton Jones with a huge safety to really seal the deal, get UCLA up in that game. That should be huge. This team is not, they've been a little overrated, I think, in bringing pressure in the last couple of years. For once, this team's defense really, I think, is justified. They gave up 30 points last night, but Taylor Martinez had a just brilliant game, and they were still able to hang in there on defense, which was just great. Outside linebackers Jordan Zumwalt and Anthony Barr really give UCLA two of the most athletic linebackers in the Pac-12. That's really huge. You look at all these NFL teams with guys like James Harrison, they make huge differences, and I think it'll be the same way for the UCLA defense. This could be a very solid defense this year. And then, just one more thing. Cornerback Sheldon Price did not start and barely played from what you could see in the last game, or at least they didn't throw at him. So when he doesn't get thrown at or doesn't play, it's huge for the UCLA defense. This guy, he gets beat and then he fouls. You can't say much more about him. He needs to go and make way for the other UCLA players. Like I said last night, he didn't start. UCLA won against the 16th ranked Nebraska. Go figure. Okay, now let's go over to one of the most, well, I think humorous parts of this UCLA football team, the kicker, Kaimi Fairborn. How do you miss in his first game 3 extra points? He didn't even get him blocked. He just kicked him right into the line. He may be the worst kicker in the Pac-12. But UCLA did stop a team that had Taylor Martinez on his A game. UCLA could be looking at a strong season this year. With their next games against Houston, a much more beatable team than when they had Case Keenum. Not even really that great. Oregon State, they just beat Wisconsin. We'll talk about that later. I think they should be better than them. Oregon State did not really impress me. The mighty Colorado Buffaloes, we already talked about them in great detail. Cal Berkeley, they already lost to Nevada, looking like their preseason hype was a little overhyped. Arizona State and Arizona, both pretty solid teams. They should test them. And then Washington State, they have a very good quarterback, but just not a great overall team. Better than they have been in recent years, but still not great. And then they take on Stanford and USC, who are both really great teams, who should give UCLA a really strong test. But UCLA could make a run at their first 10-win season since MJD was still Maurice Drew. Before we get to the most painful topic for me, the Wisconsin Badgers, let me introduce a new segment I like to call Cori's Quizzes. Before I introduce our special guest, let me explain how this works. When it comes to sports, Cori has no idea the specifics of any game. For example, she told me the other night that Matt Kemp was the catcher for the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. So, let me introduce my sister, Cori Rosen.
Hello.
Cori, how does it feel to be on a show that has been hailed as the best, most creative show since the advent of SportsCenter?
Good.
Okay, that's great to know. Really detailed answer right there. I'm really proud of that answer. Just like me, very articulate. Okay, let's get started. Cori, who has the most hits in baseball history?
Babe Ruth.
Babe Ruth does not have the most hits in baseball history. In fact, Babe Ruth was a very, very, very good hitter, but he did not have the most hits in baseball history. Take another shot at it.
Vladimir Guerrero.
Vladimir Guerrero, a very puzzling choice right there. And I hate to say it, but Vladimir Guerrero does not even have 3,000 hits. So, give me one more choice. Who is it? Who has the most hits in baseball history?
I don't know.
Please take a guess. We need you to take a guess.
What's that guy's name?
What's that guy's name? We don't know. Please tell us.
He's on the Angels.
Is his name Torrey Hunter?
No. Pujols.
Albert Pujols. What a big monster that guy is, but he does not have that many hits, nor will he ever. Let's talk about Charlie Hustle. Pete Rose. He has the most hits in baseball history. Have you ever even heard of Pete Rose?
No.
That's sad to say. Great player. Okay. Now, Cori, you play soccer. You should